Welcome back, everybody, to Ready, Set, Rewatch. I'm Skyler. This is my friend Daniel. Daniel, I've got bad news for you today.
Oh no.
Organia has been invaded by the Klingons.
Good. Good.
Wow. We really took a look inside how much Daniel cares about interspecies politics here.
There's a lot going on in what we're about to talk about that is good. The Organians are not part of it.
It's the first Klingon episode, everybody. Yay, welcome to the Klingon episode. Ready, Set, Rewatch. Daniel, let's talk about the Klingons
Klingon episode.
Wait,
Is that your fire alarm?
you hear that?
I heard a little bit. Are you on fire?
The Klingons are here.
Do you want to restart when you're not on fire?
No, it's the Klingons.
Because I can hear.
Daniel, load the torpedo bay. Load Scotty into the torpedo bay. Fire them directly at the Klingons.
Scotty in the torpedo bay. This is not staying in.
It has to. All right, we're good to go.
Okay.
Daniel, tell us about Errand of Mercy.
Okay. So Errand of Mercy starts on the Enterprise, where we learn immediately that negotiations between the Klingon Empire, here we are, there they are, it's Klingon time, baby, and Starfleet are going bad and have either just broken down or are about to break down. They are in the process of falling apart. And so they are expecting a surprise attack from the Klingons, and the Enterprise is being sent to a planet called Organia in order to set up a base for the Federation and or stop the Klingons from setting up a base there, because it's the only Class M planet in the sector of space that is disputed by whatever war negotiations have been going on or something.
The Klingons want to set up a shitty little base on a planet inhabited by morons.
Yeah, that's about right. So they're heading out there, and before they even get there, they are immediately attacked by a Klingon ship, which they kind of blow up super easy.
Yeah, it turns out we might win this war.
Yeah, it turns out the Klingons maybe actually kind of suck.
Maybe a little bit.
Because I don't know, this will come up later. I wrote it in my notes and I don't remember when, but I remember writing, is the Enterprise state of the art? Because it can't be, right? Because Spock was saying that he served on it with Pike for 10 years. The edge doesn't bleed that long. There's no way.
Right. Yeah, we've been serving on. I mean, you can assume that it's been getting various upgrades over time. You're right. I guess it is a little bit older at this point, but I think at the time that the show started, it was kind of like a Mass Effect Normandy situation. We got a top of the line newer ship.
Right. We're gonna need the SR2 pretty fast here though, because we're looking a decade old ship.
We will get one eventually.
Nice. We love to hear it. Uhura gets so as soon as they blow up the Klingon ship, Uhura gets a code. It is Code 1 alert from Starfleet, and it's we're at war now. We're at war with the Klingon Empire officially. So technically, by Kirk blowing up that ship before war was declared, he may have technically committed a war crime. I'm just saying.
No, I would say the Klingons that attacked first committed the war crime.
Maybe they both did, you know?
Unfortunately, it's Kirk's word against the Klingons, and Kirk is the most known shitter renegade in the Federation.
And so also, none of the Klingons are alive to give their word.
That's true. So you know what, Mr. Spock, don't put this in the report.
Take it out. Cut it out. So they press on to Organia, which my thing apparently loves to autocorrect to organize. And Kirk says a line.
Definitely don't say Organa, because that's from Star Wars.
That's true. The Kirk says a line that I assume the writers were very proud of, where he says, "The trigger was pulled. We better get there before the hammer falls." And I go, "Yeah, man. Yeah, you should do that."
Just sitting in his chambers, waxing poetic in the mirror and being like, "Oh, that sounded good."
He has had a lot of one-liners like that the last couple episodes, and I wonder if they got a new dialogue writer at some point. because this is sort of a new thing. I feel like in the first couple episodes he was just like, we gotta kick their ass.
I think, I mean, this is coming from no prior, background knowledge of this, but Shatner strikes me as the kind that would be like, I demand my dialogue sound more Shakespearean because I'm an actor, God damn it.
Make me cooler and make my hair better.
Make my pants tighter so you could see my posterior.
My posterior. Kirk and Spock beam down to the planet and they leave Sulu in charge. He says specifically, they tell Sulu, you're in charge. Don't worry about us. Make sure the ship stays safe. If the Klingons show up, leave and tell the Federation. So, and I also want to point out that this is the second time that they put him in charge. Because they also put him in charge in Arena when they were under attack there. So it seems like Sulu is the person to put in charge when you're under attack or expecting combat.
Do you want me to jump into my one of my facts about this episode? I've got it here, and it's directly correlating to this. So this is the first episode where Sulu is shown sitting in the command chair.
Oh, sure.
He has previously taken command of the bridge from the helm position during Arena. You are correct.
Thank you.
Scotty, who does not appear in this episode, had command of the Enterprise in the absence of Kirk and Spock in A Taste of Armageddon, in which Sulu didn't appear. The second season of the show establishes that Scotty is senior to Sulu in the command structure.
Yeah, unfortunately, one negative about both of the episodes that we're going to talk about today is no Scotty. That's an unfortunate negative, because I do love me a Scotty.
So, okay, so when Scotty doesn't appear, we just like, oh, is he on vacation? Where is he? I'm starting to think maybe to make ends meet and to help like keep the Enterprise afloat, he has like moonlighting jobs.
He's turning
doing engineering. Excuse you, engineering on other ships.
Yeah, maybe
he has to Scotty doesn't sleep. He's just constantly working on engines.
Yeah, honestly, maybe. So they beam down to Organia, and as soon as they get there, they note that like people just don't care at all that they beamed down. Kirk is like, "You'd think people beam in all the time," and this is never resolved. It's just like a cultural thing that they don't care about anything, I guess.
I wrote in my notes, Kirk has his feelings hurt because no one gave a shit he beamed in.
It also made me wonder, like, how rare transporter tech is. Like, do you think most ships use, like, the transport vehicles to bring people down, and transporter tech is relatively new?
Yeah, I don't know about relatively new. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question.
Expensive,
maybe? But it's probably, like, definitely not all ships have that technology. It's, like, higher class military vessels, Starfleet vessels. I mean, there are other species that have transportation tech.
Right. I mean,
we'll see that.
We see, in like 5 seconds that the Klingons are going to beam down. So,
but as for why these people specifically don't give a shit, we do give a definitive answer to that.
Is that they don't care about anything?
In a little bit, I won't spoil.
Okay.
That.
All right. Well, I don't know what it is, and I watched the same episode. But they notice that there's a fortress up on the hill, and they're like, that's inconsistent with the reports of how this culture works. And then that's also never really talked about again. They are greeted by a really tired-looking guy called Aelborn. Aelborn? I don't know. They only said his name like twice, and they said it, I think, differently both times. So, who knows?
In this scene, there's some goats that walk by.
Yeah.
That I think they just spray painted green and purple.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Why not? Space goats, dude. Coast to coast.
That's all I had to say about them.
No, you're good. But so they meet this guy, and Kirk is like, "Can I talk to somebody in authority?" And then he says, "We don't have authority, but I am the chairman of the Council of Elders." And to which I said, "That sounds like authority, bud.
That sounds like you're in charge, asshole.
That sounds like you're the president of Shitsville." Actually.
This guy's kind of the worst. We'll learn about it. Did you think that Kirk was like talking strangely in this? Like his cadence, he spoke very robotic in this scene for some reason.
Not that I noticed, but maybe
he definitely did. I don't know why he was acting that way.
He invites him to the council chamber and allows Spock to just wander around taking recordings with his tricorder because he's like, I want to check out your culture or whatever. And he just like kind of wanders off. And Kirk meets with the council, who just all kind of show up. Like, it doesn't seem like they're called. They just all walk in and shuffle their old asses to this table. And then he starts offering them, he's like, we can offer you protection, we can give you like technology, we can help you set up defenses, the Klingons are coming, like we can protect you from them. And they say, no thanks, bud, we don't need protection. The Klingon invasion won't do anything to us, our culture will be fine, everything's fine. And Kirk's like, hey man, they're gonna literally turn this planet into a slave camp, which is apparently what they do, which is news to me, because I know that in Next Gen we're gonna be friends with the Klingons, and I hope that they're not still doing this.
Yeah.
So, and he says, and the leadership will be taken hostage, which I guess is them, although he insists that he's not leadership, so maybe not. He says that they have nothing to fear and that this is their way of life. And Kirk is like, okay, the first thing that's going to be lost is your way of life. And then the second thing that's going to be lost is your life. So you should probably take my word for it. And they're like, okay, we'll talk about it. Do you want to go talk to Spock, who just walked in? And Spock walks in and he's like, this planet sucks. They are suffering really hard from arrested development. They have not gotten any technology. They still have goats, but they do spray paint them green and purple. These dudes don't want anything and kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
And then the council, who is 5 feet away, are like, okay, we've made up our mind. And actually, we don't want anything from you. Please leave. It's not safe for you to be here. You should probably leave.
At this point, if you're, if you have Kirk's captaincy, what do you do here? Because Kirk doubles down on being very like, no, you need our help or things are going to get really nasty, ugly. Like, but they're refusing help. Like, at this point, I don't know, you leave, right?
No, I don't think so. I think at this point, they are such pushovers that, from a military perspective, you cannot allow the Klingons to have this planet. I think you just land. I think you just land your shit here. And you're like, okay, well, you don't need us to protect you, but we need this planet to protect us. So we're going to do that. Because the Klingons are, as far as we're told here, they're like horrible, bloodthirsty people who take slaves and murder everybody and are just completely at war all the time forever. So, I'm not letting them anywhere near Federation space.
I don't know if the Enterprise has enough security force to stave off, because how much did they say how many Klingons were here?
They don't. They say how many beamed down, and I think it was like 200. But they don't say how many, because it's a whole like fleet that shows up. But you could beam down more security people and then at least have something here, because the rest of the Federation fleet is on its way. So I think you just set up groundwork and then hope for the best. You do whatever you were going to do with or without their permission at this point, because these people don't care. It's not that they like don't want to be involved. Well, I guess it is kind of that, but it's not like they're against the Federation. They just don't care about anything. They're not for the Klingons. They're not for the Federation. They're just going to let whatever happens. And so it's like, okay, well then I'm going to be the thing that happens. But yeah, so they keep telling him to like leave because they are in danger, which is, I think, weird. For them to be like, you shouldn't be here, you're in danger, we're fine. I know that the murderers are coming here to take us all as slaves and murder our babies or whatever, but you're in danger, actually. It's just like a weird energy.
Yeah.
And then Kirk is like, hey, Spock just told me that your planet sucks. We could give you like education, we could give you like tech, we could make your agriculture better.
I did think it was funny that Kirk offered to completely overhaul this planet's culture, which I'm pretty sure is definitely not what he's supposed to do.
Well, yes. I don't think that it's like a culture overhaul as much as it is like, hey man, like there's benefits to us being here. We can make your farming better. I don't think he's saying like, we're going to change your government or whatever, or like your way of life, so much as it is just like, what if we taught you what math was?
He also has a line.
Yeah.
He also has a line where he says, he claims that he's a soldier, not a diplomat. And I'm like,
at this point,
you're a captain. I think you're supposed to be both.
Yeah, at this point, he's acted as both already. So, but the guy Ailborn or whatever is just like, nah, man, you don't get us. Like, our culture is that we suck, actually. you should leave. And then
You know,
immediately, sorry, go on.
again, given what we're going to learn about these fools at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
if they had just been like a smidge more honest, maybe, they would have left.
Could have avoided literally this whole thing if you just said like 2 more proper nouns.
Yeah.
But then immediately after this conversation, a fleet of Klingon ships appears. Sulu is in the captain's chair. I thought this was a cute little moment. They immediately come under attack, and Sulu is in the captain's chair, but he just like jumps down and starts messing with the helmsman console because he's like not even gonna tell the other guy to do it. He's just gonna do it himself because he knows better. I think that's a cute little character moment. Really like that from Sulu. And one of the council members seems to know everything about the Klingons before like even Spock can verify it with his scans. So he's got like weird psychic oracle powers because he's like, boop, 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 200 Klingons have just landed in the blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what? You guys don't know how to brush your teeth. What do you mean you know this?
Explain that. Explain that right now.
So the Enterprise is forced to leave because there's a whole fleet of Klingon ships that I don't think name. I think they say like D7 class or whatever, but they don't call them like warbirds like you said they're called at some point.
Well, I don't remember. So Romulans have warbirds, and Klingons eventually have. It's tricky because like there's ships called warbirds and there's ships called birds of prey.
Yeah, well, I thought the Romulan one was called bird of prey.
I don't remember. It gets tricky, but these ones are called. I think they're just flat out called D7s.
Okay, that's not a great name, I'll be honest with you, but I'll take it. I hope they get. I mean, I don't remember seeing the ships. I don't think we.
Well,
them.
I've got an interesting fact for that as well. Do you want that now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. In the original broadcast, you never see visuals of the Klingon vessels.
Okay.
Either on screen or in exterior shots. Just explosions on the screen, which I'm pretty sure is what we were rocking with here.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any ships.
Yeah. There was a remastered edition on like the 2006 DVD, I believe, where they showed shots of the D7 Klingon battle cruisers.
Well, neat.
The rest of this fun fact says who built them. It was art director Walter M. Jeffries.
Wow, way to go, Walter M. Jeffries. So all these Klingons start beaming down, and we get a commercial break. And when we come back, Kirk and Spock are dressed differently because the Organians have given them disguises and taken their guns, which like a little bit overstepping, but whatever. Kirk is no, go for it.
They gave Kirk like a civilian farmer attire that just completely copies what he was already wearing.
Yeah, it's basically what he's just wearing, but if it was like a little bit shittier, like it's the same color yellow.
And man, I teased it earlier. They gave Kirk the tightest tights they could find.
The tightest tights. Yeah. If that shirt he was wearing was a little shorter, you would see yaw and bulge.
you'd see the captain.
You'd see the captain.
And they make note about Spock to say like, well, you're harder to disguise. I'm like, you can't get him a hat.
Can't get him a hat. We've been through this. He's worn hats before to disguise himself. But yeah, so Kirk, it goes undercover as a citizen of Organia called Baroner. It's spelled like Baroner, but they always say Baroner for some reason. Presumably because it sounds more like boner.
Yeah.
And then Spock, they don't even give a new name to. They just are like, you're Spock. You're a merchant now, and you sell Kavos and Trillium. And I think Kavos is a drink. Trillium is a mineral?
Man, I don't know. But Spock's ready to roll with it.
I guess so, man. So then a man who claims to be a Klingon but is not one comes in with the worst facial hair that I will have seen until the next episode. And declares himself the military governor of Organia Corps. Let's talk about these Klingons. They look like shit.
Okay, well, first, you talk about the facial hair.
Right.
Often we'll find when we talk about two episodes that there's something that threads the two we talk about together.
Yeah.
This one has to be the Fu Manchu budget because it was high.
Yeah. They seem to have gone with their sort of visual language for what Klingons are in apparently the original series. I don't know if they show up again later and they look different in this series. Obviously, they look different in Next Gen.
Yeah.
It seems to be we're going to get our wives bronzer, and we're going to just butter these dudes up with bronzer so that it falls into every crease of their forehead, and then like kind of looks like the head ridges that they're going to get later, maybe.
Yeah.
And then
The wrinkles on the forehead are definitely purposely outlined, but I'm not sure
I don't
at
even
this
know if they
time what it
are.
was meant to reflect.
I think it's just that they put like a powdered makeup on their face, and then they were out in this desert sun, and it sweated and fell into the grooves of their forehead, because only some of the people have it.
Hmm.
I think it's just
Potentially.
happenstance that we ended up with Klingon folds on the foreheads.
Uh, well, I will answer what you just kind of asked. Yes, Klingons do definitely show up again in TOS in a very famous episode.
Do they still look like this?
Yeah, well, more or less.
Okay.
Like they don't start getting head ridges until later.
Suck my ridges,
Um,
Picard.
yeah, yeah. And I guess, let's ask the obvious awkward question.
Yeah.
Is this blackface?
It's adjacent. we would have to know what the sort of, I don't even know what the color of the man
I,
underneath the makeup is, to be honest with you. He
I don't
looks like
I
he's
don't
maybe some kind of Asian.
I don't think that, well, that's just same way in the, what's that movie called? With never mind, I'm gonna drop that analogy.
Okay.
Um yeah, so like I think in order for it to be blackface, like they have to be purposely trying to emulate that. I think they're just going for like an off color, because like there's like a goldish, like almost like a
Yeah.
yellow hue
It's
to
it
the
looks like bronzer. It looks
yeah,
metallic.
it does, especially like in the street where or the shot where they're walking down the street like in a line, like there's a shine to their faces. And throughout, whenever we see Klingons, like in this show and in other show, in Next Gen specifically, and then we have Klingon characters in Voyager, like all of different races. Like it's not like Klingons are supposed to be black people or something.
Yeah, I think if you're an actor and you played a Klingon, I don't think that it's like, well, and you're racist. I do
Well,
think that it looks,
Christopher Lloyd plays a Klingon in one of the movies, and he's got like the full head ridges and everything.
hell yeah. So yeah, I don't think that that is like blackface. What it is
No.
I still think it's a problematic, especially here
Mm.
where it doesn't really look like an alien. It's just we put some aggressive facial hair on him and made him brownish. This
Yeah.
one is the most problematic. Once you become like an alien, then it's like, all right, well, I get it. Here
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, man.
So a potentially problematic start to something we'll fix later.
Yeah, for sure.
I just felt it was important to note that seeing this make something you're like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, for sure.
Something's wrong here.
So Core comes in and he starts immediately mean mugging Kirk. And he's like, "Why aren't you smiling like the rest of them? You should smile more, make you look pretty." And then Core, he profiles Spock and he says, "Well, you're probably a spy because you're Vulcan." So
I mean, he was kind of right.
he was right, but then he's like, "Vulcans work for the Federation. We're gonna take you for questioning." And so he's about to do that, and Kirk's like, "No, he's not a spy." And he's like, and Core is surprised that he's speaking up because the Organians wouldn't, I guess. So he's surprised by that, and he's like, "I think I kind of like you, actually." But he mostly this whole conversation is Core just being like, "This planet is mine now," and the council is like, "Okay."
I will say, aside from our problems with the Klingons visually, this
Yeah.
main guy, I feel he has a good villain presence.
He's okay. Yeah, I don't dislike him. I wish he did more, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
He also says that they're going to post some laws, and that anyone who breaks those laws will be killed. Like the punishment will be death. And he says
Immediately start laying down that fascism.
yeah, and he says if one Klingon dies, I'll kill 1,000 Organians. So he's in that weed immediately.
Mhm.
The council's like, "Don't worry, we won't do nothing. We'll let you do whatever you want, big boy."
That wasn't a surprise to us.
Yeah, and Kirk, Core ends up taking Kirk because he's like, "You're gonna be my like go between with these guys because you seem slightly more sane. So you're gonna be like my liaison to Organia." Uh, and he takes him into a side office and is like, "Here's a list of orders, and this is how many hostages we need." And Kirk's like, "What the hell?" At which point Spock is then brought back in, and the guard is like, "He's just a merchant. Yeah, we scanned his brain. We used the mind ripper on him, and he's just a guy. He's just a dude, just a guy being dudes." He said he used Force 4, which means nothing to us, but and won't for the rest of the episode. But I'm assuming that that's high.
They do, yeah. They say that they have a device that empties your brain, and I said, "Oh
Yes,
no, they invented Reddit."
they invented Reddit. They did it.
But luckily, Spock is too smart to be affected by Reddit.
He calls it a mind sifter or a mind ripper. He uses both interchangeably, and he kind of threatens to use it on Kirk a little bit, but not really. He's like, maybe I'll use it on you too. I don't know, man.
Yeah, we do never see this thing.
No, for once, no. But then he's just like, okay, well, I've threatened you enough. You guys go free and walk around the town, I guess. So
Yep.
they do. And Kirk's like, that mind ripper must not have had any, like, that thing must suck if you got away with it. And he's like, no, I'm a Vulcan, so it didn't work on me.
To which I say, two things can be true.
Yeah.
The thing could be a piece of shit, and he could have used Vulcan thing, mind
For
fortitude.
Sure. And then they bump into a Klingon guy who immediately starts threatening them, and Kirk, like, almost jumps him, forgetting what the situation is, I guess. He just, like, immediately is like, what if I kick this guy's ass? And Spock has to, like, cover for him a little bit, which is kind of a cute moment. And then they say that they need to prove to the Organians that they can fight back. So they're like, we're going to do a thing. We're going to blow up this ammo dump that's outside of Core's base or whatever. And then that'll prove to the Organians, I guess, that you can fight back and win, even though they outnumber you, maybe. That's the plan. I don't think it's going to work with the Organians because they suck, but who knows? But so that night, they do it. And they just, first of all, I want to say, while they're heading over to do it, a guard starts coming towards them, and Kirk hides by running up a flight of stairs and then just kind of laying down on it in plain sight in a yellow jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that'll get him.
He jumps on him like a spider monkey.
Yeah, then he drops on him and knocks him out, which I guess wouldn't count for the killing 1,000 Organians thing, but maybe.
And Spock runs so fast.
He's so fast. He's chopping those airs.
He doesn't quite Naruto run, but it's close.
I wish the Vulcans had their own special kind of running.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Spock just drops a grenade into a weird cardboard box, and then it all blows up into a firework factory, and they're like, we done did it.
The history books will remember this as the Organian Tea Party.
The Organian Tea Party. We then cut basically immediately to Kirk and Spock in the council chamber with them again, and they're like, yeah, we blew it up, and it was dope, and we'll do it again, too. And the council's like, no, man, why would you do that?
Because we're Spock and Kirk, and we do hood rat shit.
We are actually cool and are capable of getting shit done, actually. But, unfortunately, Core has the room bugged, and he comes in and immediately arrests them because now he knows that they are insurrectionists or whatever. And then Core starts threatening to use the mind sifter on Kirk, and Aborn is like, he just rats him out immediately. He's like, okay, so that's James T. Kirk from the Federation. And Core's like, I've heard about you from the propaganda things that make everyone think that you're cool when you're not. Because again, I don't know why anyone would have heard about the exploits of the Enterprise in like a positive light. So many people have died.
Come on. They're cool. We have Scotty.
Yeah, not today we don't.
We've solved more problems than we've caused.
Maybe. I'd have to run the numbers on them. It's not an overwhelmingly true statement.
We talked to that little monster that could burrow through rock. That was cool.
That was neat. Yeah. Maybe. So Core and Kirk, this conversation goes on for a while, and it gets to a point where Core and Kirk are like butting heads, but the Organians are being so stupid that both of them, by the end of it, are more pissed off at the Organians than they are at each other. Like they're just looking at them and they're like, could this have been any other planet?
There is a point, not now, but later, closer to the end, where Kor does look at Kirk and he's like, let's work together. Let's get these guys. Let's get them. And to that I agree. We could have really like built some foundation for a treaty here.
Yeah.
Built on hatred of these goobers.
Absolutely. So Kor takes Kirk off to some other room where the idiots are not, and he offers him a drink, and he's like, I have a lot of respect for the Federation. And then he hits him with we're not so different, you and I, Spider-Man.
Yeah, you already mentioned how the goober in not charge narked on Kirk, right?
Yeah. Immediately.
He just flat out was like, I'll tell you everything. That's James T. Kirk. And Kirk's like, the fuck are you doing?
Hey man, what the hell? I barely told you that myself. And then Kor's like, okay, so I want you to tell me everything about Starfleet. You need to tell me like how they're dispersed and how many are coming and whatever. And you have 12 hours, or I'll rip your mind. Does that sound good? Let's do that.
He hits Kirk with the "You and I are not so different, Spider-Man."
I just said that.
Did you say the Spider-Man bit?
I did.
Did you really?
Yes.
Man, I wasn't listening.
Well,
cut one of ours out. Cut yours out.
All right. He hits him, but he basically is like, hey, I'm in 12 hours. If you don't tell me everything, I'm gonna use the mind ripper on you, which will turn you into a vegetable and like a carrot, for all we know, because we never see it. And I'm going to dissect Spock to figure out why it didn't work on him. Which I'm gonna say I don't think cutting into him would give you that answer, but he'd probably do it anyway.
No, I mean they know what Vulcans are.
They should at this point. He recognized him visually, and you could tell the difference between him and a Romulan, which is, I think, relatively impressive.
Klingons aren't. They're a little too angry to think about things scientifically. So
I guess so. But he throws him into a cell with Spock to think about it, and then nothing happens.
Put him in a medieval dungeon.
They put him in. Yeah, they put him in the oubliette, and 6 hours later, nothing happens for 6 hours, and then Aelborn just shows up and he's like, come on, let's get on out of here. And Kirk's like, why should I trust you? It's literally your fault that I'm in here. He's like, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry I narked on you. I won't do it again.
And then they ask where the guards are, and Aelborn says, oh, nothing happened to him. They're fine. And then that's also never explained. Because the other side of this conversation that we see is a guard being like, the guards were there the whole time. And then when they went in to give him food, they weren't there. So we have no idea what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to read between the lines later.
I guess so. Let's see. And then Kor's like, okay, well, the prisoners escaped. Special Occupation Order 4 is now in effect, which means that we're going to immediately kill 200 of the Organians, and then we're going to kill 200 more every 2 hours until the prisoners are returned. So they just immediately start shooting people, which we don't see. We just hear a really bad sounding stock gun sound, like phaser sound. And then they're like, they're dead now.
200 people.
200 people. And they only shoot the gun 3 times, so it was an effective gun.
It's a big gun. They lined everybody up in rows.
I don't even doubt that the Organians would do that.
But wait, 200 divided by 3, that doesn't work.
It's a weird number. Number.
That's rough.
Maybe some were kids, and they were shorter, so they couldn't hit them with the same bullet,
So they lined up a bunch of kids in one row, but
they lined them up by
used
height.
less kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so
this is grim. Kirk tells Spock that, hey, it's up to us. I guess we gotta just win this war on our own. So they ask for their phasers back, and the guys are like, no, we're not gonna give you the gun back. Then you'll do violence. And he's like, 200 of you dudes just died. What do you mean we'll do violence?
Kirk is willing and ready to him and Spock alone with 2 phasers take on however big this Klingon armada is.
Yeah.
This invasion force.
Yep.
They're like, we're going to just, you know what? We'll do it. Please, don't get up. We'll do it.
We'll do it. I also believe that they could do it.
You know what? Right now, yeah, I'm feeling like I could do it. With these annoying-ass, pretentious dudes.
Yeah. The council refuses, so Kirk walks over to Aelborn and spins his chair around. He's like, homie, give me my gun back. People are dying.
You really should have smacked him around a little bit.
I wish he had. I truly wish he had. And the other council member who could like see the future or whatever earlier is like, just give him the gun. It's fine. So they are just sitting in a cabinet nearby, and they walk over and grab him out of a cabinet. And then Kirk's like, by the way, you idiots suck. We're going to save you basically just for us because I hate you.
Later, nerds.
See you, losers. And Aelborn's like, it's hopeless. You can't beat them. And he's like, whatever.
You watch me.
After they leave, we hang on the council for a while, and they're like, we'll have to stop them. It'll be difficult. They won't do anything until dark. And it's like, all right, well, now you're going to do something.
Yeah, no.
So
when the good guys start acting, that's the time to stop it.
Yeah. So Kirk and Spock set their phasers to stun for some reason, and then snipe 2 Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut back to the council, and they're doing something. It looks like they're praying a little bit, but we won't find out what that means for a minute. And then I guess 2 hours have passed, so Kor orders a guy to go out and find 200 more Organians, who I probably should have already had rounded up at this point, just for the sake of time, but whatever. So he sends a guy out, but don't worry, Kirk grabs him using the string that he's been using as a belt, as a garrote.
He garrotes him. Yeah, I was gonna say, I wrote the same exact thing in my notes.
He just grabs him and he brings him over, and he's like, hey, tell me where Kor is, and also, I think he has a couple questions, but it's basically just like, where's your boss? And then he's like, okay, thanks for the information. Like, the Klingon does not hold on to the information at all, which you would think that like war people would maybe have training in. I guess not. But he's like, hey Spock, can you pinch this dude real fast? So he hits him with a nerve pinch, and bada bing, bada boom. Now this guy is out of the room. Kirk and Spock then immediately break into Kor's office, having come across almost zero resistance on the way.
Yeah, well, they had a little conversation right after they garrote and knock out this guy about their odds.
Right.
Where, like, Kirk says, like, well, what are our odds now? And Spock says, less than 7,000, Captain. It's remarkable we've gotten this far. And then Kirk says, like, well, it's getting better.
It's getting better. Doing great.
Getting better. Yeah. I did like that part. That was funny.
That was funny.
So
I do
so
like
often so often we'll get little character changes like that in these episodes that like make you smile.
Yeah. So they immediately disarm Kor in his office. And then Kor's like, okay, well, your fleet is almost here. And when they do, we're gonna blow them up or something. And then he's like, wants to have a conversation about like, who do you think will win? And I don't know like what the point is. I think he's just stalling for time, because eventually he points at a camera and he's like, they're watching me too. And then a bunch of guards rush in, and everyone points their guns at each other, and then everyone drops their guns.
He's absolutely stalling for time. It's like he rolled a 14 charisma check, and the number he needed to pass was like a 13. So the DM's like, all right, you just barely got there.
And we also see on the Enterprise that everyone jumps up from their computers because the computers are hot.
Yeah.
They say that Aelborn and another guy come in, and they're like, no fighting.
This is the point.
Yeah.
Where I cross my arms, because so everyone drops their weapons.
Yeah.
No one can touch each other.
Yeah.
Everyone on the ship, the crewmen are jumping out of their seats.
Yes.
This could only be the work of one thing.
It's going to be the work of one very stupid thing.
Goddamn godlike alien beings.
And it becomes so stupid so fast. So you're right. So everyone drops their guns, and they go to punch each other, and then they like bounce off each other a little bit. I mean, Spock like goes to clothesline a guy, and he definitely still hits him. But they can't do it because the Aelborn and the other guy are like, we've made all means of violence 350 degrees, which is pretty hot. But also, if you really wanted to shoot a guy, I feel like you could hold onto a gun for long enough to pull the trigger at 350 degrees. If you were if it was you or that or death, I think you could probably do it.
When they burst into the room, the Klingons,
Yeah,
they immediately drop. There's no like cut. There's no like effect on the guns. There's no.
they just
The
drop
guys
them.
come in the room,
Yeah,
and everyone just drops everything to the point where I was like, "Whoa, what?"
yeah.
I had to rewind. I was like, "Was that an accident?"
It was weird, and then it gets worse because then Aelborn is like, and we've done it to all the ships, and he implies all the ships everywhere. He says, as I'm standing in this room, I am also standing on Earth and on the Klingon homeworld. And I have made it so that none of your people can do violence.
What if Klingon like weapons masters on their ships on their D7s are like strapped into their like little cannons? What if they can't get out of their seats? They're just gonna burn in there?
Death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Who's to say? This is the thing that I really don't like, because it's like, this is one of those things that you introduce and then it's like, well, then why is there ever violence anywhere? Is it just because these guys don't care if it's not happening on their planet?
Yeah.
Like, they can stop violence across all of space, all of Klingon space and Federation space at least. They can just do that. They do a little prayer, and then no one can touch a gun.
You know what's such a bummer about this is I thought, other than these nerds who were annoying the whole time,
yeah,
I thought this episode was going pretty well. I agree. I like the performance of the Klingons here, and I like the adventure that Spock and Kirk are having. But then we get to this ending, and it's the godlike alien beings step in and they say war is bad, and they spank each side, send them to their rooms without supper.
It's just such a bummer.
And it's the same thing that we did in Arena.
A little bit, yeah.
The big god is like, no fighting.
But at least
but we're gonna learn you that by making you fight.
Yeah, well, at least in Arena, it ended up being a decision from Kirk that won the day. In this one, the godlike alien being shows up and he just goes, "The episode's done now."
Yeah,
he says, "We're not having a TV show right now."
Also, if these godlike alien beings, as alluded to earlier,
yeah,
would have just communicated with us in the first place, we would have left.
And also, why did we get this far? If you can do this, and you knew that both teams were coming here, why didn't you make them drop their guns the second both teams were on the planet and then have a conversation about it?
And instead, they just like went along with the charade of letting the Klingons supposedly kill 200 people who never existed in the first place, which is why no one cared with anyone beamed down, because they weren't real.
Yeah. We have no way of knowing how many of the Organians were actually there. But we'll get to that in a minute. A couple of other things I wanted to point out here real fast, just to finish out the scene, because I feel like we've basically talked about it. Is Kirk and Kor start yelling at each other, and the Organians say that they've shut down all the ships anywhere. I already said that. And then they say someday the Klingons and the Federation are going to be friends, and Kor's like, not likely. And because I've watched 4 episodes of Next Gen or whatever, I was like, oh, that's nice. That's nice that they did that, I guess. And then they say that they don't have a physical form, and Kor is like, these dudes suck. This is the part where he's like, these dudes suck. Let's just kill them. What if me and you just kill them, to Kirk?
And I Kirk
I was
might have thought about it for a second.
I would have thought about it. I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah.
And then the Organians turn into balls of light and disappear.
Well, that's just magical.
And now the problem is solved. And I want to know, like, are they allowed to pick up the guns to leave, or we got to leave them here?
We got to leave them here.
Because like they just leave, and then the episode is done. We don't see them again.
Yeah, Kirk is on the bridge, and he's like, I was being a real stupid. I'm sorry.
They walked into the room where 2 kids were fighting, and they said no fighting, and knocked the toys out of their hands, and then they left, and they expected that they wouldn't start fighting the second they were gone again.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are stupid.
And Kor said, "It's a shame we didn't get to fight, because it would have been cool.
Would have been really cool. Would have been cool if it would have been, hey, this episode could have been great.
Would have fucked it up on the battle, Kirk. I'll see you later.
Would have been great. Would have loved this. Yeah, and then we cut back to the Enterprise, and we get our little like last second, usually a joke that's up on the Enterprise. And Kirk is like, I'm just really embarrassed that like I got mad at the Organians for ending a war that I didn't want to be in, and I was like, no, you're justified. Those dudes were annoying as hell. Like, you're
I
right, dude.
understand what he's saying by
Yeah,
that. Like, yes, like they stopped a war that we didn't want in the first place. But like, I'd be more willing to agree with them if they didn't just suck shit throughout the whole
yeah.
episode.
If they just weren't assholes for an hour and a half or whatever, we could
Yeah.
have we could have had this problem solved a long time ago. I don't know, man. I
Well,
don't
now
know.
comes the awkward part where we have to give it a rating. But first, I
Yeah. Oh.
will give you the last two little facts that I have.
Ah.
The set where Kirk and Spock snipe those two Klingons is the same set that was used in The Cage, where Captain Pike kills the giant warrior.
You know, I kind of thought that it looked familiar, but I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. And then this is one of those facts that you're going to take with you to the end of your days.
Okay.
The Klingons are named after Gene Roddenberry's friend, Bob Klingon.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So shout out to you, Bob Klingon.
Way to go, Klingon. That's so dumb.
Yep.
I do love it though. Looking at this episode, I'm like, how is it that the Klingons are like maybe the most popular Star Trek race potentially? Maybe Vulcans more so. But like
Well,
Klingons are the ones that have like their own fictional language that people actually learned. And
yeah.
I'm looking at them like they didn't get a good start here. This is not.
They
I mean, they're
they
fine,
didn't.
I guess. But
And I gotta assume, because we will be seeing them again. I don't remember exactly how many times we see them. Like I said, I just remember the famous one that we'll get to.
mm,
Um, but I have to assume that the reason that we come back to them in the first place over any other alien race is they're the easiest aliens to make up. Like you said, they
yeah,
just spray the bronzer on them
true.
and then slap some furry eyebrows on or whatever. Although there was one kid I did notice behind Core in one shot that he was just a bronzed up kid. Core's got the eyebrows and the facial hair, and he was just like a kid with a very bronze face.
They didn't think you'd notice.
I did though.
That's unfortunate. You shouldn't have done that.
No.
So are you prepared to give this episode a rating? A rating?
I think so. I don't know. When I first watched this, I liked it more,
Yeah.
but in our discussion, like this is one of those times where, godlike alien beings, Star Trek loves to throw them in,
Yeah.
and I think they kind of spoil the episode a little bit here.
I think so too. I think the first half of this episode, perfectly fine. You got some annoying people who are like pacifists, fine, whatever. We could have had a much more interesting ending to this episode, even if the godlike being was still there, but Kirk and Core were allowed to make a decision on their own instead of being told like, no, you're being bad, tisk tisk, and like get your wrist slapped. Like that's such a lame ending.
Yeah. I mean, Kirk is allowed to be wrong,
For sure, yeah.
but just the way that this one played out, it didn't really sit right with me. I'm stuck. I
Yeah.
normally in the past, I've been like, yeah, this episode was a little wonky, but I like this and this, so I'll still give it an engage because, I didn't hate it. I did that with Charlie X and I regret doing it. I hate that it's on record that I gave that one an engage. So, I don't know, I might say illogical.
I am saying illogical. I
All
think
right.
I think for a multitude of reasons, I would specifically tell people to avoid this episode because I think if this is your introduction to the Klingons, it's not a great introduction to them because they don't get really to do anything. They also don't look like Klingons, and it's like possibly problematic. But then the ending is so lame that it's just like whatever episode they show up in next, not a high bar for them to clear. Like this should not be the introduction to this iconic Star Trek race.
I've alluded to it multiple times. Do you know the episode with the Klingons that I remember because it's the famous one?
No, I don't know.
It's the Tribble episode.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're the bad guys. As we'll learn when we get there, Tribbles hate Klingons.
that's really funny.
Yeah.
I hope it's the same guy. I hope it's Core again.
You know what? It's interesting because I was looking into that. I don't know actually why it didn't make my little facts, but they wanted to get Core back, the actor that played Core, and then there was a scheduling conflict, or he couldn't do it for whatever reason. So the next time that we get a Core-like character, we don't. It's a different guy. But the character Core does make a return in the animated series, if that means anything to you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something. Is it voiced by the same guy? You might not have that information.
That I don't know off the top of my head. I guess we'll find out when we get there.
Sure. You didn't officially say your rating.
Oh, illogical.
There you go.
I'll say it. I'll be grumpy this time.
That's fine. I think I'm also going to be relatively grumpy on this next episode.
This one's an almost guaranteed illogical spoilers.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get the alternative factor. Let's go.
I also think this one's going to be really fast to talk about because a lot of it is just nothing happening.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I think that, hey guys, I know that we're like 50 minutes into this recording right now. I think this next one's going to go pretty fast.
Let's wrap this up in a tight 60.
Tight 60, baby. So on the Enterprise, our heroes are scanning a rock with no life on it, and then suddenly everything shakes, and there's like a galaxy gets overlaid to the camera for some reason. And Spock looks at a computer and says, "Hey man, everything in the galaxy just stopped existing for like a second." And Kirk goes, "What do you mean?"
You sure? Are you sure everything? Like everything? Because like did we stop existing? Daniel, if you stopped existing for 1 second twice in a row, would you know?
Probably not. I mean, realistically, I'd be upset when I got back.
Yeah, like why'd you put me back?
No,
we were there.
No, I'm happy with my life. I think you should talk to a therapist.
Nah. Once I stop existing, it'll just be fine.
Oh, okay. And also, suddenly, there's a life form on the planet that was not there before, and somehow they can tell it's human, even though the scanners in the past have not been able to tell things like that. But here we are. Now we know. Mm-hmm. Kirk asks, maybe they did get that upgrade we were talking about. Who knows? Kirk asks if it could be dangerous, and Spock's like, "Yeah, everything stopped existing, and then a man appeared. Yeah, that sounds pretty dangerous, bro."
Also, everything we do is dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. So they agree to beam down. So Kirk, Spock, and 4 male models beam down to the planet. And they find the car from the Jetsons and a weird guy dressed as Shakespeare in what I wrote was a Neil Breen beard.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Who immediately falls off a rock after saying, "Thank God you're here."
This is not going to help me beat the Fallout brain rot allegations, but it looks almost exactly like the little crashed alien ship that gets you to Mothership Zeta in Fallout 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of just looks like a pretty generic UFO.
Generic UFO. That's what I wrote in my notes was UFO.
Yeah. It wasn't until later that I realized that it looks a lot, to me at least, like the car from the Jetsons, which is also pretty much just a generic UFO. Yeah. So back up on the Enterprise, some lady who we haven't seen before, but we will come to learn, is called Lieutenant Masters. She gets her first name, but I forget it right now. It's written in my notes at some point. We'll get to it. She tells Kirk that all of their dilithium batteries have been drained. Also, hey, now it's dilithium. Before it was lithium, now it's dilithium. So we're catching up on a lot of stuff.
Sure. I remember the lithium mistake was kind of early on. I don't remember if it was in the quote-unquote second pilot.
It was when their crystals...
Man has gone before?
No, it was in Mudd's Women. It was their lithium crystals were breaking, and that's why they had to go to the mine. It may have also been in Where No Man Has Gone Before, but I remember it from Mudd's Women. Because they were specifically our lithium stuff, and I was like, isn't it dilithium?
Is this the first time they've said dilithium?
It might be. It's the first time that I can remember right now off the top of my head, is what I'll say.
Okay. All right.
That's all I got. So she's like, our batteries are almost drained. And he says something about like, we can only hover for a couple hours or whatever. I don't know. But that also seems weird because it's like the room that we'll get to it later, but it seems like you can recharge those things. So I don't know why he's like, we're going to die. And then no one seems to care about it. So I don't know. I don't know. Spock says everything is weird, but whatever happened. whatever happened, it happened on the planet, and it happened right where they were before they left. It's like it happened right there. We know where the epicenter of the whatever happened, but we don't know what happened. I don't know. There's a lot of that, by the way, in this episode. Of
Oh
like,
boy, is there.
I don't know what happened, but it did happen here, and maybe it wasn't here, but also sometimes it is here, and
There's a point where Kirk calls the Starfleet command, and he's like, everything blinked out of existence, and then the conclusion they come to is someone's trying to invade something,
which is crazy, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're about to get to that's like literally the next scene, but
that is a real like
it's
like
it's
George W. We gotta invade Afghanistan type beat.
If someone is invading and they can make existence stop to existing, you're not winning. Just it's theirs. If they're invading, also, I'm sorry, they own you now.
Also, invading what?
Yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere. We at one point they say Starbase 200, and we were at 11 a couple episodes ago. Like, we're out here.
Yeah, this episode is doing everything it can to lose us right off the bat.
Immediately. But Uhura says, hey, there's a code factor 1. That's invasion status, apparently. Kirk goes to red alert. Bones says that the guy in medbay is okay. And then that Commodore guy comes over the screen, and he's like, hey, that disturbance that happened like everywhere in the galaxy. You got to figure it out. I'm pulling everybody out of the area. So it's on you, buddy. And Kirk's like, we're the bait. And he's like, figure it out.
Pulling everyone out of the area. The galaxy?
Yeah, I'm not.
Where are you taking them?
I don't have the knowledge. Is galaxy smaller than universe?
Yes.
So it wasn't all of existence. It was like a galaxy. It was like star system, the next step up from star system. It's like,
I mean,
yeah,
the universe,
the Milky Way galaxy.
So.
That's
it. Yeah.
So this thing caused a deletion event the size of the Milky Way galaxy.
Which, just in case you didn't know, still pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's a little big. Do you think that the Klingons are somewhere going like, what the fuck?
I mean,
I know that this is Kirk's fault. Core standing somewhere. I know this is Kirk's fault.
Core was like at his coffee table with a big bowl of cereal, Honey Nut Klingon O's, and he was in his little Klingon boxers, and then everything blinked out of existence for a second, and his reaction was like, "Oh, bad gas!" Like he bumped his little chest. All right. It's like somehow.
I thought you were going to say he dropped his cereal.
Captain Kirk caused this gas.
This is Kirk's fault, for sure.
Well, in anger, he threw the cereal against the wall.
Against a framed picture of Kirk that he has from the cereals.
With the eyes crossed out. Like the eyes are scratched out, but also there's like a lipstick kiss on the...
There's a lipstick kiss, but the lipstick is like bronze.
Yeah. And there's a Fu Manchu outline on the glass as well.
It's also like a little funny because Kirk, before the commander is like, we're pulling everybody out, Kirk's like, well, I'm going to need more ships. And he's like, no. He's like, no, you do it. Hey, guys, you are the Suicide Squad. If you die, that's kind of all right.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk and Spock start making a plan, and Kirk decides that they got to go talk to the guy because it's literally the only lead that they have. So they go and talk to Neil Breen, and he says that he was being pursued by a monster who destroyed his civilization. And then, but while he's saying this, they give him the weird eye lighting where it's like the lighting through blinds where it just lights up his eyes and the rest is dark. And so I was like, I don't know if I should trust this guy.
Untrustworthy fellow. Yeah.
You gave him the villain lighting.
I'll tell you literally what I wrote down in my notes. This is my headspace during watching this episode. This guy sounds kind of nuts, and he's probably stinky.
He's probably stinky. He also calls his cause a holy cause, which I feel like is a red flag.
That's not a good sign. Yeah, that's not.
When you start raving about a monster or whatever, and then you're like, my holy mission. That's that. I don't know what's going on here, buddy. So they beam back down to the planet, and Spock says that there is no creature here. There's no other life form. And the guy's like, "You calling me a liar?" And Spock says, "I ain't calling you a truther." And
this scene, this is where the show decided to do something. It decided to like break its own continuity on purpose, specifically not just to piss me off, but to trick me and call me an idiot later.
okay,
Because they find him on the planet and he's like falling down a hill and he's got a cut on his head. So we beam up back to the ship, and there's no more cut on his head. He's fine. We've cleaned him all up. Then we go back down to the planet and he's got a cut on his head again.
yeah,
And I'm like, what are we doing? What is this? And so I wrote down makeup continuity broken in parentheses. Maybe he fell down off screen. But then the show, we'll get to it, specifically says, no, idiot, you thought we did that on accident? That was on purpose for reasons.
yeah.
And I said, how dare you?
So then that weird thing happens again from when they all fell over, and Lazarus goes off running. And then we see him go into like Tron for a minute and get into a slow-mo fist fight or something, and then that stops happening, and he pops up again and he says, "I saw it again," and he starts yelling, "Kill, kill, kill." And if we weren't trusting him before, he's going in the brig now. If not getting shot on the spot.
No. We'll let this guy roam around the ship.
We're definitely going to let this guy roam around on the ship.
Yeah.
Back on the Enterprise, because they take him back up to the Enterprise for some reason. Mm-hmm. Bones asked to see Kirk in sickbay. And Bones says that Lazarus, which is apparently this guy's name, I don't remember when he says it, but his name is Lazarus.
That's a good sign.
His head wound disappeared, and that now he's missing.
Bones also takes this opportunity. Bones didn't earn point here at all, because he takes this opportunity to refer to himself as a bright young medic. I'm like, all right, dude. Come on.
Maybe he's joking. But he says that Lazarus is missing. And I was like, he was just yelling kill, kill, kill. And the next thing we heard is that you took him up to the ship and lost him.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. That's what I'm saying. Bones is in trouble this episode.
So Lazarus is in the mess hall and he hears the lady from earlier say something about dilithium crystals, and then he gets like a really excited about it, and he starts running out after her. And then there's another Tron episode real fast where he fights another guy, and then when that stops happening, now his head wound is back, and I don't know, man. And then Spock finds us. This sounds completely unrelated, and it's how I felt watching it, audience. Immediately afterwards, Spock finds a source of radiation on the planet, and he says, "There's a source of radiation on the planet, but there's no source of radiation on the planet." And I said, "Can you explain that again?" And then Spock was like, "It's like there's a rip in reality, and there's radiation." And I said, "Well, that sounds like you found the source of the radiation, Spock."
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Like okay, I understand that there's radiation on the planet that's not coming from the planet, but maybe if there's a tear in the fabric of reality, you start with that, and maybe that's where it's coming from, buddy.
So okay. To get ahead of it, because the rest of describing this episode is going to be a nightmare if we don't just get ahead of it. So he's swapping. Yeah. Lazarus is swapping back and forth with there's an insane Lazarus who's an asshole and a relatively sane Lazarus who's kind of an asshole but less. And
is he? It's okay.
He's a little bit of an asshole. He still
by the ending. Well, no, I'm totally willing to write this guy off as an asshole.
Okay.
But well, like, because I thought they were swapping back and forth, but then by the end, I don't remember exactly the cadence of what he says, but the not crazy Lazarus is like, "Oh, Kirk, nice to meet you. Let's talk. Here's the skinny. Here's the entire situation." And I'm like,
"Here's the episode."
Well, if they were swapping back and forth, why wouldn't he have said this before? So I was under the impression by the time the episode ended that they weren't swapping. This guy was stuck there the whole time. But I don't know.
They definitely were swapping, because we were supposed to know that when he doesn't have the head band-aid, that it's the smart one, the sane one, and when he does have the head bandage, the head wound, that he's crazy.
But why wouldn't he just give all the information?
I don't know.
There's a point where he's like, self-preservation. I didn't want you to think I was crazy or something. But that's not a good reason.
It's also, it is the like quote unquote sane Lazarus that's just sitting in the mess hall. So like he had opportunity to
he's just hanging
explain
out.
the situation. So I don't know, man. Spock says that he was able to find it with dilithium crystals. At that point, Lazarus walks in and starts freaking out again. And he's like, give me those crystals. I need them crystals. And I was like, why is this man not in prison? I was like, just about yelling, why is this man not in the brig? We have had like 3 different episodes at this point where it's like, why is this man being allowed to walk around right now? We know he's evil or something is going on.
Like, just because if you're an old-timey sailor on a ship and there's a man overboard and he's not part of your crew, but you rescue him and he's coming on your ship and you're like, we rescued you, buddy. Here's some citrus so you don't get the scurvy. And here's some water so you don't die of thirst. And he starts screaming like the demons are coming and starts swinging a knife at you. Well, you tie that guy up.
You tie him to the mast and let the sirens song get to him.
Yes. I don't know. What are we doing here?
What are we doing and why are we doing it? So, okay, and here's where I'm confused. Because what I wrote in my notes, and maybe I assume you have it pulled up because I know you usually do when we're doing this. So when he's screaming in the bridge, does he have a head wound or no?
When he's screaming in the bridge.
When he's like, I need them crystals, baby, give me them crystals.
Yeah, he's got the bandage on his head.
Okay. So here's where I'm confused. There's another episode where he freaks out and the negative thing happens. The Tron thing happens. And then what I wrote, and now he's uninjured. Now he's fine. But then he immediately goes to engineering and knocks out Our Lady and some random guy. So the sane one is now attacking our crew. I mean, he's doing it like in a relatively peaceful way. He like knocks them out with some drug or something he like puts in their mouth, it looks like. I don't remember if it was like a syringe or if it was something in the mouth. It was something like that. He's not like karate chopping them or shooting them. He's relatively peacefully knocking them out. But he's still attacking our crew.
Yeah.
So that's the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just checking.
You are correct in your statement.
Okay, just checking. So also I wrote in here the lady who shows up a bunch of times in this episode. Her name is Charlene Masters, and she is of note because she is a lieutenant, so she's pretty high ranking, and she's also a black woman, which is great. So we have 2, although I think this is probably her only episode.
You know what's funny is we'll get to I'm going to save this fact for later, but I do have a fact about her being a black woman.
Oh, okay. So fortunately, he knocks out the girl while she's with he knocks out Charlene Masters while she's on the phone with Kirk, and then he immediately steals 2 of the crystals, and then we get a commercial break. So Kirk knows that A, 2 crystals are missing, and B, it was done by Lazarus. So they have Lazarus in questioning, and he starts freaking out, and he says, "No, it wasn't me, it was the monster." Because now it's, I guess, the one with the head wound again. Probably.
Yeah.
I guess they swapped during the commercial break. Anyway,
maybe they'd be swapping.
They beam back down to the planet, and Spock has now lost the radiation that he didn't know where it was coming from, but he did know where it was coming from. And they wander around the rocks for a while for some reason, even though they know they're not going to find anything because they know exactly where the radiation was, and for some reason they've decided to just wander. So they're doing that, and then Lazarus swaps again, and then he falls off a cliff.
Yes,
a big cliff. And fortunately, it's the one that already had a head wound, because if they both had head wounds, I don't know how he would know anything.
Are you sure it was the one that had a head wound that fell off the cliff? Because why would he warn Kirk?
That's a good question, but I do know when we see the sane one again later, he doesn't have a head wound, and when the guy falls, I'm pretty sure he has blood on his face. Because he falls like pretty far. Maybe he warns him, swaps, then falls.
I've got it pulled up here. He's on the cliff with a bandage. He swaps. It's taken a long time because every time there's a swap,
it's in slow motion. Yeah, we're really padding this episode out. Not us, them.
He's got a bandage.
I don't know, man.
There's no easy way to follow you can follow which one's which because they got the bandage on the head. There's no reason to follow why they're doing what they're
The
doing.
motivations are crazy. I don't
Yeah.
understand it. So Kirk says that his testimony back on the Enterprise. Kirk says everything you said before was a lie, and Lazarus, who is I guess now the sane one or something, I don't know. He's
They're
like,
both insane at this point.
yeah,
Like,
at this
why?
point,
I don't.
is Headwound in the room at this point? Is Headroom with us? Correct right now.
Is the head wound in the room with us now? Is the room with us now in med bay and Bones is looking at him?
It's whenever Kirk is telling him that he was full of shit and he was like, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," and then he eventually tells them that he's a time traveler. It's that scene.
So when they're in med bay, and Kirk says, "You saved my life," and I wrote my notes, bullshit. He did.
Yeah, I don't think that rock would have got him. I saw the whole arena fight, and I don't think that rock would have got him.
So during that part, he's got the bandage on his head.
Okay. So, I don't know. Maybe he's not crazy all the time. But he's like, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." And then he says his planet was destroyed and he is a time traveler, to which I thought there was going to be a joke where Kirk was going to be like, "Join the club, buddy."
That is all this scene. It flows in my notes because he says, like, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. And I said, dude, we already think you're a madman. Just spit it out.
Yeah. We already think you're insane, and we have time traveled at least twice.
And then right under that in my notes, I just wrote fucking time travel question mark.
Yeah. Okay. So then he starts screaming again and starts demanding crystals so that he can destroy the monsters. And then as soon as that ends, Bones is like, "Hey, can we get this security guy out of the room?"
Yeah, I don't know what.
Bones is like, "Can we get this big
problem
muscly
is
guy
here.
out of the room?" And then also,
He calls a red shirt doing his job like a meathead or something like that. He says, "Get out of my sick bay, meathead."
And then him and Kirk also leave after a guy seconds ago was yelling about stealing crystals, and we already know that he stole 2 crystals because we don't know that it's 2 guys yet.
Bones' stock has never been lower because this motherfucker says, "I assure you he's not going anywhere." And I immediately wrote in my notes, "Bitch, I bet he does."
Yes, he is. And then not only does he immediately leave.
And guess what? He goes somewhere.
Not only does he immediately leave, we'll get, there's apparently another scene that happens before. Kirk and Spock are talking in circles, and they're trying to figure out what the episode is. And I was in the same room. And they talk in circles for a while, and they're like, okay, the energy must be coming from a parallel universe, and we can't, so there's 2 Lazaruses, and if they're ever in the same universe at the same time, then every existence will die. Or both of the parallel universes will exist, but if there's like a third one, maybe that one's fine. I don't know. But they're like, it'll cause an antimatter-matter explosion, and then both of the parallel worlds will die. Cool. What? Cool. Also, we've like seen them wrestling a couple of times, so I guess the Tron world doesn't count.
Yeah, if we stick them in the little void together, is that fine? Because spoilers, that's what we end up doing.
Yeah. So, okay. And then Spock says a stupid thing. Spock says, and I made a quote of it, "Jim, madness has no purpose or reason, but it might have a goal." And I said, that's the same thing. That's
no. He just perfectly described this episode. I think he did. That wraps it up.
Yeah, sure. In that it makes no sense, and neither does this episode.
That's definitely part of it.
Okay, and then Headwound Lazarus starts a fire in engineering, and I wrote, the engineers just kind of slap at knobs randomly because none of them actually do anything and they don't know what to do. And it does look a little awkward. But he starts a fire, and we don't actually see a fire. It's really mostly just smoke. And then he sneaks in and he grabs 2 more crystals, because I guess both Lazaruses each need 2 crystals. And he runs to the transporter where a guy says, "Sir, you shouldn't be in here," and gets immediately knocked out. Then don't worry, Kirk knows exactly where he's going. He's on him. So he goes immediately to the transporter room where the guy is no longer knocked out. Because maybe there's also 2 parallel that guys.
No. He's just been replaced.
Maybe. By his twin, though, because I'm pretty sure they look the same.
Yeah, you can have a twin. Nothing happens.
So They beam down. Lazarus is talking to himself, and he's putting the crystals into his Jetsons car. And Kirk goes to grab him, but before he does, he gets transported to the slow-mo Troniverse, and then eventually wakes up on the same set, but the lights are out, where he finds Lazarus without the head wound, working on the same ship, but the roof is missing. Or is everyone following?
No. I've honestly, when I was watching the episode, my eyes had glazed over, and now my brain's just in a fog. I'm just gonna let you wrap this one up, buddy.
Okay. So they talk for a little while, and basically, a lot is said, and none of it really makes a lot of sense. But this one is definitely actually talking and like making sentences, so it's better. And basically, they're like, "Look, he's not going to stop trying to kill me, and I can't stop trying to kill him, because if he gets over here, then both universes die. So what you're going to do is you're going to throw him through the door to the Jetsons car, which I guess is a portal to the Troniverse, and I'm going to go through mine at the same time, and then you blow up the ship, the Jetsons car, and then that'll somehow also blow up mine in the other universe, and when that happens, we will both be trapped in the Tron universe, fighting for all of eternity, not aging and not dying, just fighting forever." And here's where I go. What if we just shoot him? Is that an option?
No, I mean,
because we could just go, hey, good Lazarus or less bad Lazarus, I can just go home and shoot that guy, and then you can stay in your universe, and he'll never come back over here because I'll have shot him.
Whatever gets us to the credits. I'm sorry. While you were going through that, which is necessary for the audience listening to our show, I gave a quick Google search to a Reddit post that I have been to before. People discussing what is the worst episode of the original series of Star Trek, and the first one says Alternative Factor.
Well,
and there's a guy in here that's like, I disagree. I like the Alternative Factor, but fuck that guy. You're
okay. And so then basically they just do that plan. They throw him through the thing. They take the crystals out. They go back up. They shoot the phasers at the ship. It explodes. The phasers are different now than they were before. Normally when they fire the phasers or things, it's like a blast. This time it's like a directed laser that stays going for a while. And I did make note of that. At this point, it doesn't matter, but I did notice it.
Disappointed. They could have at least blown something up for this one. I'm sorry to sound stupid in caveman brain, but like after everything you put me through in this 50-minute episode, you soft delete the ship. That's how we end it.
Yeah. And then
come on, man.
And then they're on the bridge, and Kirk goes, "We might be safe, but what of Lazarus? Ooh, what of Lazarus?" And I go,
I don't care.
I don't like both of those guys stole from us and hurt the same guys. Like they're both bad.
The sane guy sucked as much as the crazy guy. So like,
getting trapped in for eternity in Tron world, that sucks, bro. I'm sorry. Me personally, I would have just shot ours, because at this point, that's like high treason. He stole from the Federation. Like, shoot his ass. You could get away with it. There's a military vessel. You could probably get away with it. Also, he's technically from a different universe, so no one's gonna miss him.
One thing I think we can agree on is let's never talk about this again.
Also, I want to know, he introduces himself as a time traveler. But he's not traveling time, he's traveling dimensions.
Well, maybe he never said he was a good time traveler.
I guess so.
You just did it wrong.
He's like, he calls his ship like a time vessel or something, but that's not what it does. It doesn't transport you through time. It puts you on the Nega Earth or whatever.
Well, it's broken. I don't know. I think when watching the episode, I kind of assumed that, like, oh, I'm a time traveler. That doesn't really ring as something you're supposed to be doing. This guy's probably breaking all kinds of laws in the first place with some, like, jerry-rigged, crappy little George Jetson time machine that he built in his garage. And it obviously went wrong, like an exploding meth lab. And now here he is phasing between two realities with like an alternate universe version of himself because he fucked with something he wasn't supposed to. He made his own multi-dimensional bed, and now he has to fight himself in it forever.
Another thing I want to know, if they're swapping back and forth, like the whole episode, how are they doing that?
Well, I don't know.
Because we see that they have to use the car thing to do it, but they're not anywhere near the thing when they're swapping on the when he's on the Enterprise and he's swapping.
Yeah.
So how does this work? What was the thought? He's not traveling through time. He's not traveling at the time machine. He's not. Both suck. Why didn't we just shoot this guy? How does any of this work? Illogical. I don't like this episode.
Yeah, this is for those who were unaware. For those who are unaware, this is getting a hard illogical. You know what? Let's ask an interesting question. Up until now, I can't speak for you, but my least favorite episode has been Miri.
Miri, yeah.
Is this worse than Miri?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
Miri was annoying because there was that one kid who kept saying bonk bonk, and I was like, okay, whatever. And also because Kirk wanted to kiss a kid. And that's bad. That is bad. This one is just like, what are we doing? None of this makes sense at all. Characters are acting stupid. Bones is acting stupid. Spock is saying shit that doesn't make sense. I don't know what's going on. I don't even feel like this actor who's playing Lazarus knows what he's doing or where he is. He's got the worst.
That's because he doesn't.
Okay,
that's because he doesn't.
He's got the worst beard I've ever seen. They didn't even try with his makeup. He's acting like he's some old wizened guy, but he's probably the youngest dude on the cast in this episode. Like, everything about this episode is just like, when you re-release the DVD of this, just take this episode out. It's pointless. Unless it's supposed to somehow set up. I know at some point we get Mirror is an episode where there's like the evil. If this is somehow a setup for that, maybe you keep it. But otherwise, throw this shit in the trash. This episode is balls.
I don't know if this episode correlates to other than we do get evil versions of characters who also have big facial hair, but not like this guy's facial hair. Yeah, illogical. Do you want some facts?
Please do. Yeah, hit me with the star facts.
All right. So as alluded to earlier, when you were like, this guy doesn't know what's going on, and I said it's because he doesn't. Let me tell you about that. So the actor originally hired to play Lazarus was an actor by the name of John Drew Barrymore. Now, if that sounds familiar,
because it's an actress's name, but with John before it.
Well, not just that. That is Drew Barrymore's father.
He named his daughter his middle name, last name?
Well, it makes sense because his father was John Barrymore.
I hate this family. I can't stand these people.
So, while you chew on that for a second, he was originally cast to play Lazarus, but when it came time for shooting, he just didn't show up.
What,
he just no-showed. He just no-showed, and it halted production for like 2 days. Which means I'm assuming that it's the 60s. He's smoking a cigarette and he reads the script and he's like, I don't want to this is terrible. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to school tomorrow. So he doesn't.
Right. I guess I can't blame him for this episode.
The Screen Actors Guild suspended his SAG membership for 6 months as punishment because the producers filed a grievance. So yeah, there's that. So because he didn't show up, they grabbed, I'm assuming in a big butterfly net, the actor who plays Lazarus here, Robert Brown, after John Drew Barrymore, father of Drew Barrymore, son of John Barrymore, failed to show up on set. The director decided to shoot scenes which didn't involve him to keep production going, and then on the second day decided, we either got to shut down production or scrap episode overall. We came this close, Daniel.
We almost got it.
I swear, I'm going to read to you exactly what is written in the IMDb trivia. Robert Brown was dragged into the set right after he agreed to play the role.
I'm sorry? They can't mean that literally. There's no way.
He recounted the filming to be very tight and tense.
Okay.
Everyone was probably very mad.
Yeah.
That they had to.
I would be.
I mean, to completely no-show a role that you've presumably signed a contract to be in. That's messed up.
Yeah.
But
do you think he still got paid at all?
John Drew Barrymore?
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, it depends on what the contract. Well, I guess he would have breached the contract.
They might have gotten paid. You know what? Actually, I take it back. They probably paid him something. Because otherwise, I don't know. They did, like I said, they filed a complaint with the Screen Actors Guild, which got him in at least 6 months of trouble. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That sucks though. I feel bad for the guy who played Lazarus, and this is the episode that he has to be like, I was in Star Trek. Don't watch it.
Yeah, you feel bad for him. We'll feel bad for this. In the original script, Lazarus romantically came on to Lieutenant Charlene Masters to gain her assistance.
Oh.
Now, do you want to guess why they changed that? There are 2 reasons given.
That's especially weird because I kind of got the vibe that she might have a thing with that other engineer guy that was in there.
So first, this says,
okay,
when African-American actress Janet McLaughlin was cast as Masters, the romantic angle was dropped.
What? Because she was black?
That's certainly how this is phrased here. Now, Roddenberry says that he decided to change it because it's exactly what they did in Space Seed, and he didn't want to do it again.
I'm going to choose to believe it's probably both. I'm going to choose to believe it's mostly the second one.
I think this is a 2 things are true situation. Yeah. I completely believe Roddenberry because he says, quote, in both Space Seed and this story, we have a crew woman madly in love with a brawny guest star. I don't know if this guy was brawny.
I wouldn't have just... Well, but I don't even know if I would have called Khan brawny.
Oh, come on. He was sexy.
He's all right.
Brawny guest star and flipping our whole gang into a real mess because she is in love. Do they have to do this in 2 of our scripts?
That's fair.
So I could see him going against that, not wanting to do that. I also unfortunately see a 1960s producer being like, this will never work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it at that. And that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad if that's the case.
Well, I do know that they had... So I know that famously the first interracial kiss happens in this show or maybe movie, one of the movies. I don't know.
It's the show, I'm pretty sure.
And I know that in order to get that through, Shatner had to kind of trick them into making that happen, even though it was with Uhura, who's like a mainstay. So yeah, no, I think if he had to trick them however many episodes later to let him kiss a main character, yeah, I can see why I can't see why, but I can believe that in this time period
we know the type of assholes these are, apparently. Yeah. So
yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, I think I can believe that would happen.
So that's the alternative factor. And Errand of Mercy, 2 episodes that got illogical. One which I wish didn't go down that way, and one awful.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
One with a really disappointing ending, and one that I wish I had not watched. But hey,
what a time.
The next episode we're gonna watch on IMDb is listed as top rated. I don't know if that means anything, but hey,
it's definitely,
it can't be worse than this.
Ones of note. And the next episode of Rewatch that we do will be wrapping up season 1.
We'll be ending season 1.
Round of applause for that, everybody. Yay.
That's awesome. I can't believe how close we are. Well, if you've enjoyed our trip through season 1 of Star Trek, you can tell us all about how much you love us in the comment section on YouTube or Spotify, or both. Why not both? You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD, or you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McG.
And you can follow me on Blue Sky at Skyler8bit.
And until next time, everybody, let's see what's out there.
Let's see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Let's play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intersect.